I'm Leonard Scott Collins, and I work out so you don't have to. It's Thursday again, so we're going to talk a little bit about Raja Yoga, the yoga of kings. Last week I said King's Road. I don't know where I got that from. So I want to show you 3 simple poses wherein you can comfortably practice meditation. Asana means that which is comfortable and easy. This is the goal of the practice, not the practice itself. In fact, you want to be uncomfortable. That way you'll be able to know whether or not you're moving. If I'm lying on my back, I can twitch my fingers and shift my head side to side. The discomfort that I'm correcting for is so subtle that I won't notice the discomfort. I won't even notice the correction. Whereas if I'm in a position of some minor strain, then there's a general awareness of the whole instrument, and my conscious mind is more equipped to keep my body still. Crowley says a beginner should do 30 to 60 minutes. A serious practitioner should do 4 hours. 16 hours is too much for most people. I do 60 minutes. And the asana I use is what Crowley calls the dragon. I learned it in karate class when I was 10. The shoulders are in a neutral position, and I can feel them twitching a little bit. The neck is straight, the back is straight, but the abdominal muscles are relaxed to take breath. Knees bent, heels under the buttock. I've experimented with this a lot. I think they want to be just on the outside of your sit bones. You don't want to tuck them in too close, nor do you want to swing them out too wide. Let me show you. The toes are touching side by side, and the heels are just on the outside of my sit bones. Actually, maybe I've got about 2 inches either way. You can try to pull the meat of the butt out a little bit, but again, not here, and not in here. The knees should be a comfortable distance apart, and they should be the same distance apart every time you sit. You can use a ruler between your index finger and thumb to try to measure the distance when you come down. It's hard to tell because Crowley doesn't give us this 3-dimensional view that I'm giving you. There's only one photograph of him in each of these poses. But after many years of practicing this way, I've come to realize that I think Crowley is actually practicing this way. But once you've picked one of these postures and worked on it for a long time, you don't want to change it. Also, you notice in this posture my hips aren't resting down into my heels. So this may be a modification of Crowley's dragon posture, which is more like a Japanese zazen posture. The next pose I want to demonstrate is the lightning bolt. Unfortunately, I can't demonstrate it because my hips don't do the right thing. But let's find this shape again that I just showed you and swing my hips out to the right. I think it should be the left actually. Swing my hips over to the left so that my heel is pressing up against my anus. Then my right heel is meant to cover the pubic bone. And if I could press down, down, down through this pose, relax my thigh and relax my calf, this front foot would actually be able to get up there. Again, back is straight, arms rest over the knees. I think it is the left heel that's supposed to go up the anus, but because my right leg is a little bit more flexible, I'm going to show it backwards when I go to, right now to go to the front. So, right heel up the anus, left heel covers the pubic bone, hands over the knees. You see my genitals are actually way up here because I'm not resting down into my feet. But I hope you can see how that's uncomfortable. And again, uncomfortable is better to start with. The longer you practice, the worse it's going to get. You're going to feel terrible if you've done this every day for 3, 4, or 5 weeks. And you have to go through that discomfort before you can start to break into a true comfortable asana. Take it from someone who's completely copped out of this. I mean, you know, I started with 20 minutes and then tried to add 3 minutes and tried to add another 11 minutes and work up gradually. And it's taken me, you know, the better part of 20 years to get to a place where I can actually sit still for an hour. And even when I am sitting still for an hour, those last 10 minutes are still quite difficult because I did not obey Crowley's instructions, and you really, really need to. This is a training of the willpower even more than it's a training for the body. So if you don't deal with that discomfort in a straight ahead way, you're not going to have success in this practice. An asana Crowley doesn't teach the very traditional kind of lotus posture. Here I am with my ankle rested on my forward leg. Get some opening in this hip. If you can, tuck the knife of your foot into the crook of your elbow. Cradle your leg like a baby. Open right up here. And the muscles you're targeting are on the outside of your left thigh. Tuck your right foot way in, up to touch those muscles I said we were targeting. and rest this here. Now come up on your sit bones, pull the meat of your butt out of the way, back is straight, shoulders are relaxed, abdominals are also relaxed so that you can breathe in this posture. And now what you want is for this right leg to come up over the left one. And so what you need as a preliminary is for the left knee to come down onto the floor and rest there comfortably. So let's get this right leg out of the way. And without pressing on the knee, press on the thigh, press across the calf. See if you can get the leg to start working its way down. You may feel this in the groin, but if you feel it in the side of the knee, release the pressure. I wonder if you can see the positioning of this foot. Up against the thigh, you see my ankle is starting to pop out a little bit. I'd really prefer it didn't do that. I see a lot of people when they're starting to learn this pose, resting this foot on the top of the calf. And now, you see I'm never going to be able to get my right foot up because my other foot is resting on top of the leg. I need to have some pivot in the knee, so you need to move this up on top of the thigh, which is a much more extreme bend for your hip. And try to let it rest downward toward the floor. If you can't actually get into one of these postures, don't practice them for 60 minutes. Okay? Practice them for 10, 15 minutes to let the muscles relax. Once you're in the pose, that's when your asana training begins. Keep the back straight. Relax the abdominal muscles so you can breathe. You can play around with these poses for a week or two to see which you have the most aptitude with, because again, you want to be in a pose you can actually assume before you start doing your formal asana practice. So, you know, pick one that you can physically get into, and even if it's uncomfortable, that you can stay there and feel safe for 5 or 6 minutes. And then that's the pose that you should continue training. If you're really married to one, like the Thunderbolt or the Lotus posture, then train that as part of your workout regime, right? When you're exercising. And once you can get into the pose, then you can start training as asana. But flipping back and forth from one asana to the other while you're training is only going to set you back. The idea is to find one position and achieve an alert stillness in it. whichever of these poses you pick, your legs are going to fall dead asleep. I think I have some nerve damage in the bottom of my left foot, just some places where the skin is numb and not ticklish, and I sometimes get itchy and can't scratch the itch from habitually putting my legs to sleep in this way. It's not serious. It's not debilitating or life-threatening. It's an occasional and minor annoyance. I'm much happier to have the nerve damage and the properly trained Asana than to be afraid of nerve damage and not be able to meditate. Because until you can sit still, you cannot meditate. If your feet fall asleep and you need to get out of the posture, you won't be able to know whether you're spraining a toe or twisting an ankle or otherwise doing injury to parts of the body where you don't have nervous awareness. So when you're getting up from your asana, you need to take care of yourself. Come forward onto your hands. Creep forward slowly. This is going to be incredibly uncomfortable the first 100 or so times. Leave those toes pointed towards each other and lie down. You're going to get cramps in your calves and in your feet. They're going to be blindingly painful if you've done this pose for 60 minutes. But if you learn to keep those muscles relaxed, resist the temptation to flex. Resist the temptation to flex those muscles and speed up the blood flow. You will not have pain. You will have a very confusing sort of tingling sensation, but not pain. After doing this practice, like I said, for nearly 20 years and finally almost being there with a 60 minutes of posture, I'm able to sort of come up like this, especially if I have something to rest my hands on. I say 20 years. It has been 20 years off and on, but really more like 6 years of consistent daily practice. You want to be ready faster than that. Which is why I would say start with 30 minutes, start with 60 minutes. Do it 4 times a day if you're a serious practitioner like Crowley says, so that you're doing 4 hours. All right, that's what I wanted to do today. Happy Thursday. I'll be back tomorrow with a proper calisthenic workout to cap off your second week. Thanks for watching.